Hey folks, good morning. Once again, my name is Adam Rodriguez. I'm joined today by my two amazing and wonderful colleagues, which I encourage them to introduce themselves right now. So Jovan, if you're willing to start us off, go for it.
Good morning, counseling partners. Hi, Javon Edwards, Assistant Director of High School Services. I'm so glad that you're joining today. I will be behind the scenes addressing any Q&A that you might have, and I will pass the baton over to my lovely colleague, Julian.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us for this wonderful presentation. Our colleague Adam is going to give lots of great information today about campus housing and what you guys need to know. I will be doing the same as Javon and just supporting with the Q&A and any sending any of those links if you guys have it. But yeah, welcome everyone.
Thank you so much, Shaw. Thank you. So, as my colleagues have already mentioned, they're going to be behind the scenes answering questions that you may have throughout this session. Now, this session is going to be our counselor webinar focusing on campus housing. We understand that many of your students are already starting to receive decisions, but we also understand you're going to get questions about where to live in the next 2 or the next year or so as well. So if you have those questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A. Unfortunately, I will be closing the chat function. So unfortunately, you are only going to be able to speak to hosts and panelists, but if you do have those questions, we strongly encourage you to place them into that Q&A box. Alrighty, so without further ado, we're going to continue on. Before we dive into housing specifics, we do want to thank you from the whole Office of Admissions team for your collaboration. We could not be able to do our job if it wasn't for all of you supporting your students and preparing them to apply for higher level institutions. So we really appreciate you for assisting through applicants and all the different types of stress points throughout the year when submitting a UC application. As you can see right here, we have our amazing executive director, Cuca Acosta, and who's overseeing the high school services team as well. So we are joined by our assistant director of high school services, Jovan Edwards, and you're joined by two amazing admissions colleagues within this division as well, or within this team. So if you do have any questions, we do want to kind of connect you with our admissions team or meet your counselor. If you have a student interested in high school first year admissions, or if you have a student interested in the transfer pathway, we're going to be able to link you to our admissions team and so forth. So once again, thank you. We would not be able to do our jobs without all of you as well. So we want to give you that quick recognition and those flowers as well. Also, these QR codes will be dropped into the chat. If you are interested in receiving those URLs or those links, you're more than welcome to check that chat feature. Continuing on, the Office of Admissions also wants to share with you a few resources. So what do we offer beyond just today's counselor webinar? Well, when it comes to virtual and in-person resources, UC Santa Barbara does offer our events page where you or a student can register for different events on or off campus. And these events are going to be hosted by the Office of Admissions, whether it's from guided tours or maybe just webinars like this. Our office is here to support you, whether it's for freshman or transfer. We provide next steps for newly admitted students, whether they were admitted as early as March 18th, or maybe they're getting admitted later on through maybe a waitlist decision or even an appeal as well. We provide all those great steps. Now, another really cool resource that we want to share with you or kind of plug is that our next counselor webinar will be taking place May 22nd at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and this is going to be for our case studies. So yes, beyond just the housing overview, we will be providing PIQ case studies hosted by the Office of Undergraduate Admissions by myself and another amazing colleague, which you get to meet here as she goes by Sitlali as well. So feel free to kind of register for those opportunities. The link was dropped into the chat if you are interested in registering for that as well. Alrighty, so without further ado, let's talk a little bit more about our students, shall we? So we understand that when it comes to our students, very big deadlines are coming up. So what do they need to know? So the May 1st freshman SIR, or the statement of intent to register, is coming up pretty quickly, folks. We have less than a month in order to submit that in. And then for our transfer students, because we're also going to be talking about transfer housing, is their SIR deadline is going to be June 1st for transfer of newly admits. But when it comes to the UCSB's housing deadline for the housing application, May 15th is for freshman students, and then June 16th is for our transfer applicants. So once again, these are going to be very important deadlines that are kind of coming up within the next couple of months for all of our incoming students, not just freshmen, but for transfer as well. We also have included an opportunity for you to reach out or explore UC Santa Barbara's experiences, more so housing, transition to campus, clubs and organizations. UCSB offers over 500 of them. We also support first-generation students, Gaucho parents as well. So for example, if you know a parent that's really looking for that support system, we do offer these websites or web pages for our Gaucho parents and our supporters as well. And last but not least, student communities. If a student wants to see a student just like themselves on the Santa Barbara campus, how they can get connected is going to be found through UCSB communities or through our guidebook, which we'll share later on in this presentation. Now, we are diving into campus housing. This session is going to be strictly focused on that campus housing aspect for freshman applicants and our transfer students as well. So starting us off, we will be providing you with general overview of housing. When it comes to housing on the Santa Barbara campus, housing is guaranteed for 1 year for all incoming transfer students and incoming freshman applicants or freshman students as well. Now, while we do offer this guaranteed 1 year on-campus housing, housing is going to be optional for all incoming students. So if a student wants to maybe, let's say, commute from Goleta, or maybe they have family in the area and they want to live with them, that's going to be another option for them during their first year. But UC Santa Barbara will not require its incoming students to live on campus that first year. There's also going to be opportunities to renew for on-campus housing their second, third, and or fourth year, which we'll talk about later on. But when it comes to our campus housing options, we offer 8 residential dorms on the Santa Barbara campus. So these are dorms located on the UCSB campus, but we also offer 5 apartment undergraduate complexes. These complexes are affiliated through the university or are provided through UCSB, and we do offer 2 affiliated complexes that we do partner with a leasing company. So this means that we do partner with those leasing companies to ensure that it is still university provided housing in some aspect. We also offer 2 family student complexes for students or what we like to call non-traditional students or students with family as well. This is a great opportunity for students to really take advantage of what all UCSB has to offer when it comes to housing on the UCSB campus. So it's not just undergraduate dorms, but we also offer undergraduate apartments and apartment complexes for all of our incoming students. Continuing on with housing, when we talk about the housing application, there is no fee in order to submit a housing application. However, we will be discussing and breaking down cancellation fees. So if a student submits that housing application and decides later, hey, I'm not entirely sure if I want to continue with on-campus housing, or maybe they're admitted off a wait list somewhere else and they have to cancel it, there will be some form of cancellation fees associated. But once again, we will talk about those as we continue on. Now, the housing application or the housing contract is a 9-month academic contract. So a 9-month academic year contract. So it starts as early as September and will close in June. So no need to worry about summer subleasing for on-campus dorms. We got you covered right there. Including in that contract, we also offer all-you-can-eat meal plans. And when it comes to the on-campus furnishings, every dorm is going to be furnished with a desk, a closet, and even a bed. We also offer housekeeping, not exclusively for individual dorms, but for the common areas that a lot of students will use, such as the kitchenettes and so forth. We include all of the utilities when it comes to the on-campus housing, as well as recreational facilities. So students still get to use or take advantage of different recreational facilities, such as our volleyball courts, our surfboard racks, and so much more. Now, when it comes to general campus housing, it is also really important to know our timeline. Now, when it comes to this freshman timeline, it's really, really important that our students know when is going to be due and when is it, or what is going to be due and when it's going to be due. So when it comes to the freshman timeline, there's a few things that we really want you to keep in mind. Starting us off, our very first deadline that is approaching very quickly is the SIR deadline for freshman applicants of May 1st. This is going to be really important because the minute a student submits their SIR or their statement to intent to register and submits that deposit, they are able to establish their UCSB net ID and UCSB email. I cannot stress this enough, folks. When it comes to establishing the UCSB net ID or the UCSB email, this is going to be really, really important to ensure that this is completed because the housing department here at UCSB is going to utilize these emails to connect and communicate with their students regarding the housing application and the housing process. So it's really, really important that they take advantage of that or they do that sooner than later. There's also the housing application due by May 15th. While we do offer guaranteed 1 year on-campus housing for incoming students, it's really important that they still must submit a housing application by May 15th. It's really, really important because if a student doesn't submit the housing application, then we won't know that they're interested in on-campus housing. So really important in that process. And then move-in weekend for this upcoming year is tentatively September 20th through the 21st. Once again, students will oftentimes receive the first or the second day of move-in. It does not affect their on-campus offerings, but it's really important that once again, they are checking those emails that they establish through UCSB. We've also connected the housing application link for new freshmen. If you have a specific question about that, that's going to guide you into the timeline as well for all of our students. But once again, we're breaking it down. So starting in mid-March, the housing application will open as well as freshman decisions are posted. May 1st is when you submit the SIR deadline. May 15th is when you register for the UCSB Net ID as well as the housing application. And then if you are interested in freshman summer start, we will be talking about that because that is going to be a process in the housing application as well. So that is for the freshman timeline. Continuing on with our timeline, especially when it comes to late admits, we do understand that some students are going to be admitted off a waitlist. Maybe some students are admitted off an appeal, but keep in mind, we are still offering them the housing application 5 days after their SIR, even if it's after the May 15th deadline, because we understand that some students will be getting admitted later on in the summer. So we do offer this opportunity for all of our incoming students as well. Next, which we're also going to be breaking down in this process, is starting July 8th, students can select their rooms. So this is what we like to call that self-selection process, not only for their room space or their bed space, but also roommates if they know they want to bunk with someone in the incoming school year. Or maybe if they just want to go random, we'll talk about that as well. Now, as I mentioned, there are cancellation fees. If a student chooses to decide not to live on campus during their academic year, then there is going to be a $100 fee of $100 starting all the way up to July 14th. Now, this day will these fees will increase as we go later into the academic school year or closer to move-in. But that's going to be that's going to be the cancellation fee for $100. Next, starting September 1st, I apologize. Mid-August is when we release formal assignment letters. So if a student submitted the housing application, submitted roommate preferences, they filled out the housing survey, as well as submitted everything on time, around mid-August is when we send out formal assigned letters via the student's UCSB email. Once again, folks, I cannot stress that enough. You really want to make sure that your students aren't creating that university provided email. And then starting September 1st, it's going to be a $350 housing cancellation fee. So if a student chooses to decide, hey, I'm not going to end up coming to the Santa Barbara campus anymore, and they want to cancel closer to move-in day, that fee does jump up to $250. So really, really important that they ensure that they're submitting everything on time and they know what their next steps will be. We provide all this information later on as well. So next, we're going to be talking about the transfer timeline. For our transfer students, what does this timeline look like? It's going to be a little bit different from our freshman admitted students. So starting starting June 1st is when our transfer students have to submit their statement to intent to register or SIR. Once again, after they submit their SIR, they are required to establish their UCSB Net ID and their UCSB email through their steps to enrollment. Once again, I cannot stress this enough, folks. In order to receive communication from not only the housing website or the department, just general UC Santa Barbara campus, they must establish this ID sooner than later. Complete the housing application by June 16th. This is going to be different than our freshman admits. The June 16th is when the housing application closes, so roughly a few days after their SIR deadline. Then tentative move-in weekend, just very similar as our freshmen, is the 20th through the 21st. Students will receive when they move in during their formal housing assignments. So that is that breakdown. It's going to be a little bit shorter than our freshman admits. And then we also provided the link as well for transfer students. These are two very different links that we provided earlier today, and to really include and share that information with all of our students, whether it's their freshmen or transfer. Continuing on is July 8th is when students select not only their room selection or their bed spaces, but more importantly, their roommate selection. It's really important that students know that they can request a roommate or someone that they know if they were admitted and they choose to enroll here at UCSB, or they can go completely random as well in spaces, whether it's freshmen or transfer in the residential dorms or the residential apartment complexes. Very similar cancellation fees, folks. If a student wants to submit the housing application, they're able to do so. But in order to cancel it by July 14th, it is going to be $100. After July 14th, starting the 15th all the way through September 1st, it's going to be a $350 cancellation fee. Very similar to our freshman admits, mid-August is when students, even our transfer students, will receive formal assignment letters. Once again, breaking down this process for all of our students. Now, we just broke down the freshman timeline and then the transfer timeline. Each one of those have specific dates, but also sometimes those dates will overlap, specifically when we're talking about cancellation fees and also when they receive formal assignment letters and tentative move-in weekend. But we also understand that many of your students, whether they're parents, counselors, or just anyone interested in the housing process, are also interested in continuing housing or for students continuing. So what does that process look like for a student entering their second, third, or fourth year here at UCSB? Now, when it comes to on-campus continue living and off-campus continue living through the undergraduate apartments, their timelines are going to be very, very similar because we understand that our students are getting ready to prepare themselves to apply for housing as early as January or as early as the winter quarter here at UCSB during their first year. Now, starting January is when the housing application opens and closes. It's going to be during that month. Traditionally, it's roughly 2.5 weeks that if a student is genuinely interested in living on campus their second or continuous years, they do have roughly a smaller timeline or a smaller window to submit that housing application. Around late February through early March is when contracts are offered. And then 1 week, it's typically a 1 week application process. So for when contracts are offered, for when students need to submit and sign that contract. Around April is when self-assignment begins and bed retention begins. If they choose to decide to live where they're living, they do have the option of opting into that opportunity. But traditionally, a lot of our students want to opt in, kind of live elsewhere on campus or even off campus as well. Around late May through early June is when the self-selection process begins, as well as roommate selection as well. Around mid-August is when formal letters are sent, and all cancellation fees will remain the same. They do not change for continuing or incoming students. Those cancellation fees will remain the same when it comes to the housing application and those housing contracts. This is a great way, once again, to learn a little bit more about that process very early on. Because even though a student isn't joining their first year here at UCSB, we do try to get them on track for housing opportunities as early as that second or winter quarter here at UC Santa Barbara. We also understand that some students want to live in specific or community-based living or community experience living. We do offer what are called the Living and Learning Communities, or LLCs. This is a great way for students who identify with a specific cultural group, maybe study the same major under the same college, or maybe want to live with students sharing the same identity. This is going to be a great opportunity for a lot of our students to live in these spaces. Sometimes a lot of our students want to live with students studying the same major or maybe in the same academic discipline. That is going to be an option during the housing application process, which we'll talk about as we get on. But when it comes to community experience living, this is a great opportunity to receive exclusive programming for these specific cultural groups and identities, but more importantly, really get to see students like themselves on the Santa Barbara campus. This is one of the first greatest ways to really build your community on the UCSB campus, because it really does allow you to experience what everything has to experience students of various different backgrounds, but also sharing something in common, whether that's academic discipline, different cultural identity, or even just identity based. This is once again a great way for students to receive that exclusive experience as well. The living and learning communities are part of the housing application, which students will self-select later on in the process. But it's always good to know to learn a little bit more about what we offer as well. Excuse me. Now, we did mention about roommate selection process and self-selection process. Now, we understand that many of our students are going to find their roommates via social media. Maybe they know someone coming from the same high school, or maybe they know someone that they've known all their life also coming to UCSB. And a common question that we get is, well, can I self-select my own roommate, or can I select a roommate that I want to live with? And the answer is yes. Students are able to receive a link to create a roommate group, which is completely optional. It's not required. Students can totally choose the random pathway. That is also acceptable as well. But when students are interested in pursuing or a very similar roommate, they are going to receive a link from the housing department. Then roommates are roommates with only the same assigned housing contract type can live together. So apartment versus residence. So a student says, hey, I want to declare this person as my roommate, but they've submitted two various different housing applications. That's not possible, folks. They have to have the same signed housing contract for the same housing type. Out of the 2 people or maybe 3 people, since UC Santa Barbara does offer doubles and triples, one person will be assigned what we like to call the captain. This captain will be responsible of creating the group with all of the members that they want to live with, and they're by adding the other members UCSB Net ID. Once again, folks, I cannot stress this enough. Establishing that Net ID early on is going to be really critical, especially when it comes to the roommate selection process. Another really important action item, we're not going to just leave all the responsibility to the captain of the group. All members do have to accept that invitation created by the captain in order to confirm their roommate group. So it's not just that one person doing all the work. We have all of the members interested in living together do have to pull their own weight when it comes to submitting roommate selection. UC Santa Barbara will also allow our students opting into the random roommate assignment to submit what is called a housing survey, or excuse me, a roommate survey. During that survey, it's going to be submitted during this process as well, or shared with them during this process, that allows all of our students to say, hey, these are my preference for a roommate. I want to live with a student who's a night owl, just like Am, or an early bird, and so forth. So they will be providing those preferences to our housing department as well. So after this step that students complete when it comes to roommate selection, the next step in this process is self-selection. Self-selection will begin as early as July, and students, in order to kind of start this process, must have a signed housing contract for the following upcoming year. A UCSB email will indicate a specific time to log into the self-selection portal, and it's going to be looking like very similar to this. So a student will say, hey, I'm interested in living in a specific type of area, or maybe I want to submit an LLC and so forth. Anything indicated in red is already booked up and already submitted. Anything in green are available spaces that students can choose from within, let's say, for example, San Joaquin, the Elsno Core, and so forth. You can search through the different types of housing options and roommate or the room type options as well. Traditionally, for a lot of our incoming students who decide to live on campus, we do offer what are called doubles and triples for all of our students as well. So huge benefit when it comes to that. Students do get to self-select where they want to live during their first year, or even through the apartment complexes as well. A huge benefit when it comes to that self-select process. But once again, folks, it is a very strict process. So if a student knows that they want to live in a specific type of dorm, they must follow the assigned steps provided through the self-selection email that the housing department will share with them. Continuing on, once again, breaking down these screenshots even further, student can really dive into specifically searching detailed spaces on the Santa Barbara campus that they want to learn or kind of receive space for as well. So really big benefit when it comes to our students living on campus, because they do get to decide where they want to live during the upcoming years. So after they submitted that self-selection process, we also offer the opportunity for housing rates for the residential halls. When it comes to the housing rates, it will differ from number of roommates and meal plans per week, whether it's a single, double, or triple options. Keep in mind, folks, single options or single rooms are extremely limited and oftentimes granted for students with specific medical needs. But once again, they are not even guaranteed, so there are a limited number of options available for residential halls. Also, if you do decide to live on campus, meal plans are going to be a requirement. So there's going to be different meal plan options that they can choose from. And once again, it will differ for the amount of cost. So as you can see, if a single room with the more platinum opportunity for meal plans, it's going to look you closer to roughly $23,000 for the academic year. And then for a small double, we're looking closer to $18,000 for the academic year. Once again, folks, students can change meal plans throughout the quarters. So if they say to themselves, hey, I didn't really find myself eating in the dorms or eating in the dining commons so often, they can change that throughout the academic year. And it can help reduce the cost of housing depending on where they are as well. So huge benefit. And we do provide that rates website for all of our counselors as well. Huge benefit, and those QR codes on the top right hand of the screen. Well, sweet. So we do offer for those residential halls. We also offer it for the undergraduate apartment complexes. Once again, those rates will differ from number of roommates as well as meal plans if they choose to pursue a meal plan, because meal plans are optional when it comes to the undergraduate apartments. So if a student wants to cook for themselves, they are given the opportunity to do so, because it is apartment style living, so they will have all the kitchenettes required. But if a student finds themselves maybe on campus for a full entire day and they just need a quick place to eat, then meal plans are going to be available for these students living in the apartment complexes, and they will change from one apartment complex to another. So we provided examples for El Dorado. What does that look like per month? So that's going to be a monthly fee for the 9-month academic year. Sometimes undergraduate apartments, especially through the 2 affiliated apartment complexes, which is done through a different leasing company, will allow our students to live on campus or through that university provided housing through the summer as well. So really something really important when our students are exploring. We also provided examples for the Sierra Madre villages, just located right across campus. And we do offer free shuttles for students to take advantage of these opportunities as well. So we do offer the undergraduate rates, but we did briefly talk about meal plans. So when it comes to campus dining, UCSB offers an abundant amount of different dining options, primarily through our four dining commons here at UCSB. We have Carrillo Dining Commons, De La Guerra Dining Commons, Portola Dining Commons, as well as our takeout options through Ortega Commons as well. Keep in mind, if a student does opt in to live on campus and have that meal plan, their meal plan will be applicable for all dining commons on the Santa Barbara campus. Their only options are whether they want to walk too far or not, because some of these dining commons are located across campus. So it really just depends on how a student wants to get there. But we also offer different dining options on the Santa Barbara campus through different food vendors as well, such as Panda Express. We also offer Subway and so forth. But when it comes to campus dining, we also try to provide our students the opportunity to see what is going to be provided to them throughout the entire week. So all of our menus for the dining commons are publicized on the housing dining website, and we also have dining cams. So if a student wants to say, hey, it's peak hours, it's noon, I'm getting out of a lecture, what is the line looking like for Portola, or what does the line look like for Carrillo? We do have dining cams on the Santa Barbara campus that show our students what the line looks like getting out of lecture as well. So it's a huge benefit when it comes to our students taking advantage of all those opportunities as well. We also offer a basic needs resource center, or what we like to call our food bank, on the Santa Barbara campus. And this not only applies to our students living on the Santa Barbara campus, but it typically applies for all of our students living off campus as well that want to take advantage of our food bank as well. It's not just exclusively for transfer students, but also for undergraduate students living on or off campus here at UCSB. Huge resource that we always encourage all of our students to take advantage of, because it is available to them through fees and so forth. So huge benefit to take advantage of as well. Alrighty. So now that we talked a little bit about housing here at UCSB, ranging from dining commons, how to select room, how to select a roommate, we are going to be talking a little bit more about the Freshman Summer Start program. Many of your students are getting ready to apply for different summer programs. When it comes to UCSB, we do offer what is called the Freshman Summer Start, or FSSP. This is a 6-week experience. It is offered through Summer Session B, so it is part of summer sessions here at UC Santa Barbara. There's over 70 courses that a student can take advantage of. Typically, they can apply for anywhere between 7 to 13 units, so they can be considered a part-time or full-time student here at UCSB during the summer before they start. Now, before they start, it does offer the opportunity to start classes early, so a month before the fall quarter begins. So move-in will happen August 1st, and they are going to be remaining in that same dorm for the full academic year. So they don't have to move out, so they can truly bring everything that they need for the academic school year. There is going to be financial aid provided and savings options provided through the Freshman Summer Start program, as well as one of the biggest benefits for students in this program is that they are provided social events. So this allows them to once again build community and really foster a network of connections on the Santa Barbara campus prior to starting in the fall. So once again, that gives the student not only the opportunity to take advantage of courses in the summer, but also build their professional and social network here at UCSB. Once again, we are providing this information, we are providing this information via those QR codes as well. Continuing on, we also have questions regarding costs of attendance for this program. When it comes to estimated program costs, a few variable costs are broken down. So it is roughly $279 per the unit B. And when it comes to housing, it's going to depend whether a student opts into a double or a triple occupancy room. And those will fluctuate. I always like to say, folks, the more roommates you have, the cheaper it is. The less roommates you have, the more expensive it can be. So something really important. There's also a few fixed costs associated with the program, such as the non-refundable application fee, programming and activity fee, as well as technology fees, and so much more. But once again, this is an opportunity for students to really take advantage of it. Does it make sense financially to take advantage of the Freshman Summer Start program? Because there are an abundant amount of different things that students can do to prepare themselves up for success before the fall quarter as well. So huge benefit when it comes to the Freshman Summer Start program. Alrighty, seeing how we're doing on time. Once again, folks, if you have questions regarding anything that we're covering today, feel free to drop that into the Q&A. Our amazing colleagues joining us today will be answering those behind the scenes, and we'll also leave it open for some Q&A at the end as well. Alrighty, so since all of you are joining us, our counselors, we do want to extend kind of a really cool insight when it comes to our new student housing developments. So here at UC Santa Barbara, we have 2 projects underway in order to kind of expand our student spaces when it comes to living on the Santa Barbara campus. First and foremost, we offer phase 1 through San Benito, which started in the spring of 2024, and phase 2 on the east side of campus, traditionally located where the Channel Islands 5 is, and it also started in the spring of 2024. This QR code dives a little bit more deeper into what you can expect through phase 1 and phase 2, but these are new student housing developments happening currently on the Santa Barbara campus to extend more bed spaces here at UCSB. But we also will provide a breakdown. So starting us off in San Benito, what to know regarding phase 1. Roughly over 2,200 beds are going to be offered for undergraduate students. It's going to be a series of towers. And then when it comes to apartment configurations, we offer 4-bedroom units, 2-bedroom units, and yes, studio apartments as well. I always like to say, folks, the more roommates you have, the cheaper it is. The less roommates you have, the more expensive it can be. So something to consider when guiding your students on the housing process. We also offer dining markets on the Santa Barbara campus when it comes to this first stage here at UCSB, and as well as additional amenities such as recreation facilities, bike racks, and so many other things. So that's going to be phase 1 in San Benito. It's projected to open during the fall of 2027. So roughly within 2 years, folks, this is going to be an opportunity for all of our incoming students to, our incoming new freshmen to take advantage of as well. Alrighty. The second or phase 2 process here at UC Santa Barbara is currently underway. It did start in spring of 2024. This project is anticipated to house roughly 2,100 beds within the 5 existing residential halls, or what we like to call the Channel Island 5. It's a redevelopment effort on the east side of campus to further, and the university is further evaluating existing building spaces to kind of enhance or increase the number of bed spaces offered here at UCSB through the summer of 2025. So they are looking for new ways to kind of explore how can we expand our student living. As of right now, the regents are speaking a little bit more on how we can expand this. So right now, a tentative open date has not been made available just yet, but it is going to be determined in the coming months or throughout the summer of 2025 as well. So that is a little bit more of our new student development. We also understand that your students will have a ton of different frequently asked questions. So a lot of students, our most common one right now and our most recent update is, can first years bring a car? Unfortunately, folks, incoming first years are not eligible to bring a car on campus during their first year. However, we do understand that some students do have accessibility needs, disability needs, and so forth. So we do offer resources on campus, but if a student absolutely needs to bring a car on campus during their first year, they are able to reach out to transportation services to learn a little bit more on how they can petition for a parking permit. A lot of students will ask, well, can I cook in the residential halls? Absolutely. There's going to be shared kitchenettes available for all of our students in the residential halls and so forth. We did provide a breakdown, and we will provide the FAQ page later on as well, so you can kind of explore what is offered when it comes to the frequently asked questions. A lot of students will also ask, where can I do laundry? Laundry is provided in the residential halls, but keep in mind it is going to be associated with a small fee. Unfortunately, they are not free. So that's something to think about, especially when you have those frequently asked questions asked by students. Now, while we are the Office of Undergraduate Admissions, we also wanted to take this time to share with you housing resources. First and foremost, we are providing you with the housing website. This is a great way to learn a little bit more in detail about the housing application process, or what housing has to offer for all of our students. Next is their YouTube channel. When it comes to the housing YouTube channel, they did a phenomenal and great job in providing more insight into the self-selection process, the roommate selection process, and even breaking down what dorms look like on the Santa Barbara campus as well. Keep in mind, if a student wants to tour the dorms on the UCSB campus in person, that is not going to be an option because all of our residential halls are currently being occupied by current students. So that's just going to be a little awkward if a prospective student wants to tour a space that's not currently available. So we do offer different insights into that, as well as their social media. The housing department does offer great insight into terms of day-to-day deadlines, but more importantly, student day-to-day lives as well through their social media. So huge benefit when it comes to these housing resources. Last but not least, folks, is we do once again want to thank you for your partnership. Here at UC Santa Barbara, we understand that it's not just us in this process, it is also you, our phenomenal counseling partnership. So if you do have any questions, you're more than welcome to email us at admissions@ucsb.edu. Or if you have a student just genuinely interested in speaking to housing here at Santa Barbara, they're more than welcome to email housing department at housinginfo@housing.ucsb.edu. But once again, folks, that does conclude our time together. If you have any more questions, feel free to drop them into the Q&A. Our colleagues are here to answer them via chat, and I also can answer questions via live as well. But with that being said, folks, that does conclude our time together. If you have any questions, feel free to